Hey everybody, it is day 106 of quarantine. That's not true, but it feels like it. Um, I don't know about you, but this week, the reality of just the hardship of this has been hitting me. And um, I have just been feeling the effects of not being able to be with you all, not being able to be with friends, and I have just felt a sadness this week. And typically, when I feel sad, I do everything in my power to stuff that sadness or to move past it as fast as I can. But over the past number of days, I have just felt this invitation from the Lord to invite Him in to this sadness and to let Him be with me in it, and to not just rush past it, but to not wallow in it, but to like allow myself to feel it. I was reading Ecclesiastes 3 this week, and it just hit me. And I know a lot of you are familiar with this verse if you're a fan of the birds. You definitely are. But it talks about this. It says, "For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace." As I read that, the word stuck with me about the time that we are in right now. I believe the time we are in is a time for tears, a time to, what does it say? A time to mourn, a time to refrain from embracing. Those words stuck with me, and as I was reading that, the thought came to me about Luke chapter 19, that Jesus stood before Jerusalem and wept. And I felt like the Lord said to me that I am a God who not only is a God of joy, but a God of tears as well. That Jesus was known as a man of sorrows. Not only did he weep over Jerusalem, but when his friend Lazarus died, it says he wept. And I felt like the Lord was saying, not only is it appropriate for you and for me to mourn and to be sad in this moment, but that he is mourning too. That he is weeping with us. And so I just feel like there is an invitation for you in this moment to be really honest with the Lord and with yourself, and don't move past it. Don't just jump to, hey, I'm going to, put on a smile and be positive. We want to be thankful, and we want to fix our eyes on the Lord, but we also want to be honest and say, but I am sad. I'm missing my friends. And the other thing, if you keep on reading in Ecclesiastes 3, it says that there's nothing that can get away, or there's nothing that can get in the way of God's plans. That God is in control. And a verse that has always been comforting to me is Romans 8:28. And I know you may be familiar with this, but it says, God works for the good of those who love him. See, I believe that God, in the midst of this difficult season, is working for your good. And maybe you won't see it on this side of eternity, but when we stand before the throne, when we are in heaven, heaven comes to earth and we are in the presence of God and things are revealed, we will say, God, you were working for my good. And now I can see the things that you did during those months of quarantine that were good in my heart. That growing maturity, growing closer to you, whatever it is. So I want to encourage you to hold on to both of those truths, that now is a time and it is appropriate to be sad. But also to know that this is not the end of the story. And if we could see behind the curtain, we would say, God, you are good. And you are working all things for the good of those who love you. So, church, I am deeply sad that I don't get to be with you and worship with you, and I'm mourning over that. But I am confident that God is working something good in you and in me and our church in this moment. So bless you guys. I can't wait to see you all.